Someone check Shedeur Sanders' Twitter because the Raiders lose. What is it, a sixth straight game? 2-3, 6, 2-9. Yep. 6 straight games. This snaps the streak of beating the Denver Broncos at home. It goes back to 2015. The quarterbacks in that game were Peyton Manning and Derek Carr. The quarterbacks in this game, not quite as good. Bo Nix and Gardner Minshew, and a cameo by Desmond Ridder at the end. What is there to say other than we scored a season-high 13 points in the first half? Good job, Scott Turner. You figured out that we can't just run the ball up the middle. Even if we want to establish the run, it's not going to work every single time. And then in the second half, Gardner Minshew kind of did his thing. And what's interesting, and by the way, I guess I'm not allowed to say Gardner Minshew's a bad quarterback because I'm just hating because I call out his interceptions as if he's got more touchdowns than interceptions, which is actually not true. It's the opposite. He's got more interceptions than touchdowns, but I'm just hating by calling out his interceptions. You know who you are. If you commented that, we'll move on. In the first half of the game, things were okay offensively and okay defensively, and I had a moment of weakness where I had mentioned in the Discord, and by the way, join that Discord, link is in the description below. I mentioned in the Discord, was there a chance that Gardner Minshew, not good, was playing worse because of Luke Getsy? Was Getsy really the overarching problem of the offense performing? Because last week, Minshew wasn't that bad. He wasn't great. He had that pick at the end, but the game was kind of over. And the first half of this game, he was okay. And I was like, maybe, not to say he's going to be our quarterback, but just like to talk about anything. Maybe Scott Turner's kind of got this thing moving in the right direction. And then the second half happens, and you realize that as bad as Getsy is, the combination of Getsy and Minshew was probably the worst possible combination because Gardner Minshew is a terrible quarterback. And look, I don't wish injury on anyone, although it is funny. I just made a statement like right before he got injured, like the drive before, that Gardner Minshew is the most durable quarterback in the National Football League. He doesn't get hurt at all. And then he gets hurt in the last drive. It looked like Jason Campbell dislocated shoulder. So I feel bad for him. Here's what I will say. I pray to God that is the last snap Gardner Minshew ever takes as the Raiders quarterback as long as I live. Next week, Aiden O'Connell is eligible to come back, which means that we are going to finally have the best quarterback on our roster starting games, and hopefully he starts for the rest of the season. As much as Desmond Ridder seems like a good guy, I would prefer if Aiden played these last 6 games or however more we have left to make sure to check and see if he could be our backup moving forward on a cheap 4th-round contract for whoever comes in and takes over next season, whether that's a veteran, whether that's Shedeur or Cam or Jarrell or Miro. Whoever it's going to be, we need to have a sure backup. And Aiden could be that guy if he plays well these last 6, 7 games, however many games are left. I've said my piece about Patrick Graham. I think he's a good coordinator, but I think, again, what I saw today was multiple times he called the wrong plays on defense. How many times are you going to blitz on 3rd down and go man-to-man and let poor DeCamerion Richardson get cooked by Cortland Sutton over and over and over again? And I've seen people come to the defense of Patrick Graham as if he needs your defense. Like, these guys are grown-ups. We don't need to be defending or hyping people up. When people do good things, I'm going to say they're doing good things. And when people do bad things, I'm going to say the opposite, right? Patrick Graham took over our defense that has been absolutely garbage for the last 9 years. And he brought it from garbage to pretty good. But when you're pretty good, that means you still make mistakes. It doesn't mean you're great. You're not the Steelers. You're not the healthy 49ers, right? Just because we were terrible and then he came in and we were pretty good doesn't mean you can't get a better defensive coordinator. That's what everybody said about Derek Carr. We were in quarterback limbo. Derek Carr came in and he was pretty good, and we stuck with him for 11 years. Whether or not you want to debate that was the right thing, that was the wrong thing, that's the thing that happened. So as good as Patrick Graham is, all I'm saying is there are times in crucial goal-to-go or crucial 3rd down situations where I've seen him repeatedly call the same play that has yet to work in the game so far. I'm not a Patrick Graham hater. I'm not a Patrick Graham lover. If you're not playing well, I will say you're not playing well. I did it with Max earlier in the season, and people jumped down my throat, but I don't care. If you're not playing well or you're not coaching well, I'm going to say it. Here's the thing. Offensively, defensively, special teams, both lines today played hard. I don't know if they played well, but it's clear that Antonio Pierce, how bad this season has gone, has not lost the locker room. And I think if we continue to play games like this, or we have chances in the fourth quarter, and Minshew does what Minshew does, right? How can you blame this game particularly on Antonio Pierce? It seems as though the guys in the locker room, for whatever reason, you might have that reason, I might have the reason, doesn't matter. The reason's irrelevant. They want to play for AP. AP is a motivator, and today he got a little bit better with the game situations. He challenged to play correctly. He called timeouts when he should have. I think if we continue to play games like this, even if we win or lose them, doesn't matter. If they're competitive, this is a 7th seed in the playoffs right now, the Denver Broncos, with a rookie quarterback who's playing pretty well and a head coach who's won a Super Bowl. And we play them down to the wire. We were leading at half. We were in control for a lot of the game. And then the second half came, and that was it, because they have the better roster and the better coaching staff. But if we play these games competitively, I do think Antonio Pierce is going to buy himself another season. And for all the people out there that want us to draft Shedeur Sanders, and I made a video about, as bad and as dysfunctional as this organization has been the last however many years, teams still want to play for us. That's just the fact. Shedeur Sanders, a big part of why he wants to come here and why Deion wants him to play here is Antonio Pierce. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. You could watch the videos out there of Deion talking about AP. And I think that only reflects positively on Antonio Pierce. And as much as I would like Ben Johnson to take over, there's no denying that Antonio Pierce has attempted to do the right thing. Whether that was starting Gardner or starting Aiden, he wanted to trade up for Jaden Daniels. He wanted to sign Cliff Kingsbury, and they basically did. And it's clear that this team has not given up on AP like they gave up with Josh McDaniels. And people have been saying, it was better with Josh McDaniels, yet the roster was 10 times better. He was a better play caller than the current play callers we have now. But in terms of effort, in terms of having the locker room and holding each other accountable, it's night and day from when McDaniels took over. The record obviously isn't showing it. But we played the Broncos pretty even. I'm going to break it down tomorrow on Bleacher Report, 2 p.m. Eastern. The stats were basically even. We turned the ball over. They did not. And that's the game. That's the game. They had the better quarterback today. That's the game. They had the healthier roster today. That's the game. Nothing Antonio Pierce can do about that, about the injuries. So whether or not you think he should be hired again or retained for another season or fired for Ben Johnson or whoever else is out there, I do think, I'm not lying when I say this, if they continue to play games hard like this and lose them or win them, there's a chance that he's retained. And I don't hate that. Give him another chance. Give him another draft class because this draft class has been pretty good. Dylan Laube had a nice kick return. Brock Bowers is obviously a stud. This offensive line, except for the fumble in the beginning of the game, held up for the most part. DJ Glaze, JPJ are both draft picks from this past draft class. DCam didn't look great, but he was kind of thrown into the fire against one of the best receivers in our division. That's going to happen from time to time, but he stuck in there. He made some plays. Let's give Telesco and AP another year to draft more guys and to sign free agents with this $100 million. And let's see if we can up our win total from 3 or 4 games this year to 6, 7, 8, 9 games next year with whoever we draft at the quarterback position. And if then it doesn't improve, if the eye test doesn't show you that this team is getting better, then you cut your ties with AP and you move on and you get your new guy. There's going to be plenty of coaching opportunities or opportunities to sign head coaches in the future, not just this season. You got to do your due diligence, but I do think Antonio Pierce is going to buy himself some more time with the roster playing as hard as they are right now. Next week, we got the Chiefs, and it's going to be Aiden O'Connell that's going to start. Unless he's not ready to come back from his injury, they're not going to go Desmond Ridder in Kansas City. That is a recipe for disaster. Gardner Minshew is probably out for the season with a dislocated shoulder, and Gardner Minshew, again, has played his last down of football for the Las Vegas Raiders. If I have anything to say about it. Aiden O'Connell is going to play. We'll see If he can find some of that Christmas Day magic he found last year, and just to be clear, I'm rooting for wins. I'm not rooting for losses. I wanted them to win this game. I wanted them to win every game. I don't care about tanking. Tanking has been proven to not work. You need a high draft pick to draft a good quarterback, but you don't need the first pick. Go look at the last 2 draft classes and tell me if the first quarterback taken was the best quarterback taken. And you'll see my point. But that's a Black Friday game. I'm excited to see what happens. The Chiefs almost lost to us this past season with Gardner Minshew. They almost lost to the Panthers today. That's a game that we can be competitive in. And let's see what happens. Is this game even final? What is the final score of the Raiders game? 29-19. The Raiders fall to 2-9. Not great. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you join the Patreon. Link is in the description below. You get your name at the end of the credits. You get exclusive content that's never before seen on YouTube. You get ad-free content, and you get videos ad-free. I think I already sent that. Please be sure to subscribe. It's free. I throw no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.